Challenge yourself to change lives with the Big Belt Buckle Challenge. They make a no-strings-attached charitable donation when participants complete one or all of the 6 athletic challenges. In doing so, they aim to build a worldwide community that transcends sport and encourages people to make a positive lifestyle change while helping those in need. For 2023, a difficult but doable set of challenges has been created by Jeff Privete himself. They have all been inspired by his personal experiences throughout 2022. The events can be done in any order, and with the exception of the Road Gravel Challenge, there is no time limit for completion of a given event. All you have to do is make it through. Completing all 6 will require an incredible amount of dedication, courage, and a willingness to embrace the journey, regardless of the outcome. Won't you join Jeff at thebigbeltbucklechallenge.org? This is the Big Belt Buckle Challenge. Hello and welcome to the Young Entrepreneur Syndicate. You got Jim Riley here and my business partner and friend, Rod Kuntz.
Hey, Jim. Always a pleasure to be here.
Dude, if people are following along on these shows, they're going to realize you had heart surgery. What, how many days ago? 10?
14 days yesterday. 2 weeks yesterday.
14 days ago, open heart surgery. Still kills me. We put out a show a few days after. Here we are on the next show after that. And we had coffee together today at the Black Rifle Coffee Company. I'm looking at you
awesome.
Like, how did you just have heart surgery? It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's the miracle of modern medicine and a tribute to how magnificently our bodies are put together and can heal from major trauma.
Well, and also a compliment to you for being a healthy, active person. We've talked about some of your adventures in life and the things that you've done, and you're healthy and active. You always have been. I think that's a major factor. Matter of fact, and not to point out the weakness of others, but while we're sitting there having coffee and about your recovery, and I'm looking in the distance beyond you, and there's a couple of very overweight people. I thought, man, how are they going to get through the troubles in life later on carrying all that weight? And I can't stress enough the importance of self-care, living a healthy lifestyle, active, mentally, physically, what you put in, what you consume, all those things, right? Aren't you glad that you're in good health?
I am indeed. And this, even in good health, this kicked my butt.
Mm-hmm.
This was huge, so I don't want to trivialize it for anyone who goes through it at any age or any health condition. This is a big deal, and it's hard, but we can do hard. We can do hard, and we can overcome any obstacle, regardless of where we are on the mental scale, the emotional scale, the spiritual scale, or the physical scale, or the weight scale. We can always overcome. Always hope.
And by the way, when you say we, you mean everybody. So if you're listening to this, Rod doesn't mean he and I. We're talking about everybody has the same ability to be the best version of themselves. And by the way, self-care, again, attributing Rod's good health to his speedy recovery as a factor. I just want to encourage everybody to be as healthy as they can be. Rod, I don't know about you, but when COVID came to town the first time, I was in Spartan racing tip-top condition. And I remember specifically, I was running at least 5 to 8 miles a day in my pasture in the snow, and we're talking probably sub 20 degrees, whatever that looked like for any given day. And I remember coming in, going to my wife going, hey, I think I have a little bit of a cold. And that was all that was said about it. Turned out I had COVID, but I was in great shape. And I just feel like if we can be healthy humans, we can fight anything.
Yes. And we're resilient. We're made to overcome. So that's a cool thing. Cool thing. Cool. And with the scare tactics that are out there now, there's supposed to be a resurgence of that COVID stuff. And I didn't worry about it the first time. I'm not worrying about it the second time. And I'm encouraging everyone else not to give it a second thought either. Just be smart.
Be smart, know your
Be
body,
healthy.
know what your needs are. Here's what we're doing at my family, and then I'm going to get into the topic. Okay. We talked about this at length last night. We eat healthy. And that included in that, we try to eat as much local food as possible, or the food that we grow and raise. So we've got fresh eggs, we've got our own beef, we've got our garden, right? So if we can make that the bulk of our meal, and then from there, really be careful with what we're consuming. No fast food.
Right.
If it can be helped with two kids. But being really conscious of that, including exercise into our routines, a lot of outdoor work, which we do anyhow, and then just being conscious of our surroundings, what we're doing, what we're exposing ourselves to, and why. And, as a family, we're going to be smarter, and we'll get through this together if there is indeed some type of other variant coming our way. So just throwing that out there. That's what I'm doing.
I like it. I'll throw this out there. If it comes in a box, a can, or a bottle, you don't need it.
Good
You
point.
don't need it. You can make your own everything. If it comes in a box, a can, or a bottle.
Damn, it looks like I'm going to have to open up a little moonshine still out here.
You can make that too. Maybe that can be our next project, Jim. we can make some moonshine together.
Another business. This is an entrepreneurial show here. So, we diverted a little bit on health and Rod's health, and we went on this journey with him. And I think your health is an important part of your business success, which leads me into our topic.
Let's go.
The topic is prolonged gratification. Prolonged gratification. And by the way, having good health allows you to be patient and take the long road. The reason why this is such an important topic is in the world and society that we live in, we feel like we all deserve it right now. And we look at people around us and we see our perceived their success in one way or another. And we feel like, well, if they got it, I should have it and I need it right now. Most of the time, you're not seeing the whole story, for one. And the other part of the time, could just be bullshit. They're trying to fake it until they make it. Could be a tactic, if you will. But I think at the end of the day is just delayed gratification will always pay huge dividends. And Rod, what made me think about it, and I think I told you 15 seconds before I hit record today, I didn't have a topic, but my mind was wandering to our event at Chapman College with David Meltzer, Robert Greene, and Rachel speaking. By the way, incredible intro video that you put together for us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dude, it just set the tone for everything. But I was thinking about that event. Now, I've been on stage multiple times. I had a TV show for a couple of years. I am not afraid to get in the public eye. But when I was 18, maybe 17 and a half, 17, I envisioned getting on stage and speaking to an audience about a topic that I chose in a way, presenting in a way that magnified the message and under my terms and conditions. And I've had that dream since I was that age, and I'm going to fulfill that at Chapman College. And I get to do it with my business mentor, David Meltzer, and an author that I never in my wildest dreams imagined that I would meet, for one, but speak on stage with him for two. And I just thought, you know what? This has been so worth the delay, waiting until the right time. It's like strike while the iron's hot. Well, this iron has been unplugged. This particular one has been unplugged for a long time. And it's been warming up the last couple of years. And I couldn't think of a better opportunity. And, I was at I've spoke at 6 events this year, somebody else's terms. They asked me to come speak on their topics. And then I spoke at a big event in New Jersey. If you remember, I was out there with Rob Bailey and The Muscle and Nick Sanitasos and all these great guys. But none of it was under my terms with my message. So I'm excited. And I just think that there's a lot of value in waiting. So I'd love to hear your thoughts as it relates to business maybe some of your own stories about delayed gratification, because I'm hoping that if people hear our story and realize, okay, I can wait a little bit longer, that they'll wait and be patient, and then they'll see the reward.
Yeah, well, delayed gratification is a law of the universe. Let's just start there. Getting something you want when you want it because you want it stops as soon as you're weaned. Okay? That's where delayed or where immediate gratification ends. It ends at the breast. When you're weaned, now it's time to wait. That's where you start learning patience. That's where you start learning discipline. And I'm not saying this lightly. I mean this. So, and my wife has said it for years. She was a La Leche League leader for a decade. And she always said discipline begins at the breast, because, kids want what they want, and you have to set boundaries. And we have, unfortunately, several generations now of boundaryless people wandering the earth.
Yeah.
They have no boundaries and a sense of entitlement and a higher self-worth than perhaps they ought. And I'm not saying that everyone doesn't have value. That's exactly the opposite. Everyone has value, but they also have an obligation. They have an obligation to keep their value in perspective and in check. And we have lost that as a society right now. We truly have. So delayed gratification, I think this is a very timely message, because, and I'm going to go back to your analogy about, you had that fire in you to speak on a stage and under your terms, and that fire was smoldering the whole time. But in that time, it's not that you were doing nothing. In fact, just the opposite. You were cutting wood. You were splitting wood. You were clearing a forest, so that when you had that opportunity, you had all the fuel stacked up, ready, and ready to go right on that fire, and to keep the fire going. It's one thing to have all the wood and all that desire and all that passion and throw it all in there, and then it burns all out. And then what do you have? A failure, a loss. You have to start over. You've burned bridges. You've burned relationships. You've busted a business. You've lost reputation. You've lost a piece of yourself, your character, whatever it is. Right? Your own self-esteem suffers. So putting that off and actually working hard, working towards something in the future, and knowing the whole time it is going to be paid off in the end. It's going to come around because you've worked for it to come around. And you store that up. And if it's not stored up, what are you going to do when it's a lean time? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do when it's a hard time? What are you going to do when you have opposition? What are you going to do when you have competition? What are you going to do when someone comes for retribution? You better be ready. And that means you need to get on the plan, the long range plan of preparing yourself. And me, that's that military thing again, prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
You can expect the best, but you darn well better be prepared for everything. And that includes success. You need to be prepared for success.
Well, what's interesting, Rod, is as I was writing my speech, and I've had a speech this year already written on leadership, but I don't know where to stop. And what I mean by that is I have so much content now. It's like, where do I stop? What story do I use? Because I have so many. If I would have done this 30 years ago, I wouldn't have had that much content. I might have been struggling to find the content or the topic. Even the topic of leadership alone was one of many that I could have selected this year. And I'm so grateful for the time that I spent, as you said, kind of that fire smoldering there, waiting to add some fuel to it. I'm so glad for that time, because now we can burn this fire and warm up the whole house.
Right.
It's just amazing to think about, like, timing is everything. And I think having faith in the process is important. Faith in the process of delayed gratification. And don't understand us wrong. We're not saying don't go after things, don't charge the hill, but don't expect to have it all now, because sometimes charging that hill takes, prep, warm up, exercise, building up your endurance to actually go up that hill, and understand that it's all part of the process. I heard a great metaphor this weekend about delaying your gratification. It was kind of like, if you're getting ready to go on a trip, right? And let's say you hop on the plane, you and your wife, you're going to Hawaii, and you're flying over to Hawaii. Then the pilot gets on like an hour before you land, like, oh, we're going to go into a holding pattern here for the next hour. The runway's not ready for us. All of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. You've been anticipating all the good times, right? But what you don't know, that the pilot knows and the tower knows, is that maybe there's a problem with the runway. And if you were to land right now, if you were to get it right now, you could crash and burn.
Right.
But by having faith in the process and the other players that it takes to find that success, in this case, that success would just be landing successfully after a 5-hour trip over the Pacific Ocean, right? Having some faith in the system, the other players involved, to say, hey, guess what? We're clear for landing. And you have a nice, safe landing. And all of a sudden, that delayed gratification has ended. And all of a sudden, you've got that thing that you've worked so hard for, right? Because you had faith in the system, faith in your patients, faith in others, the other players, to get it done. And there you are, right? I love thinking about what the end of the road looks like. And by the way, I'd love to hear your take on this. The road there is the best part, especially when you look back.
No question. Absolutely no question. The preparation is the fun part. I think you could even look at professional sports this way.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk to the, whether it's the NBA, the NFL, whatever, if you talk to the players that actually played and you say, what was the best part of all your career? They're not going to be pointing to, oh, it was Super Bowl 32, right? It was that game, this play. They're going to be talking about the relationships they made on the practice field. They're going to be talking about the bread they broke with their fellow partners and players and coaches while they were watching film.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that make success. It's not we got a ring, or we got the Lombardi trophy or the Stanley Cup. That's not what it's all about. It's about the relationship building along the way. It's about the character building along the way. It's about the confidence building along the way. And what you get out of all of that is a deeper appreciation for who you are, your part in the system, and a deeper appreciation for all the people that play a part in your life.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
Rod, I like to add a little color to that, because a story came to mind. I received a text message yesterday, and I thought I knew who it was from. And it was a picture of me, this individual, and a third person on stage in Lake Tahoe for the Spartan National Championship Ultra Race Series in Lake Tahoe. I'd taken second place. And there we are on stage with our medals, after completing 31 miles and 75 obstacles, some crazy things. First ultra race I ever ran, and I placed second. Well, I thought it was from the guy that got first. His name's Edward. And I only know Edward because he was at a lot of races afterwards. I could never catch him. Thank you, Edward. Anyways, I'm going back and forth with this individual, and not until maybe the 10th text message did I realize this is the third place guy. And I have no idea what his name is, how he got my number, or any of these other details. And you would think, if this whole deal was all about being on that stage and being on a podium, those aren't my memories. I couldn't even remember the guy's name standing next to me after battling for all those hours on the race course with him, right? What I remember, Rod, is a couple months before that, I ran a 26-mile training run with my friend Richard Haraga. He rode his bike next to me through the mountains, San Gabriel Mountains, for 26 miles, up and down, up and down. And the stories we told and talked about, Richard was on one of my earlier podcasts. I think it was like in the top 15, first 15 shows, whatever. That's one of my best memories of training, was running alongside of Richard and talking to him for 4 hours and 26 minutes is what it took us to run that, basically a marathon. My second, probably better memory is running Mount Whitney leading up to this race with my trainer and my wife and my good friend Wayne, who's in our Young Entrepreneur Syndicate, and all the stories and the laughter, the fact that Wayne could even run to the top of Mount Whitney and back down with zero training had me laughing for days. And I think the point of this is that the story, the road to the finish line, is way better than the finish line if you take the time to enjoy it and allow yourself to delay that gratification, look around and go, holy shit, what a great ride I'm on.
You know, one of the things my father told me over and over and over, because I guess I was slow to get his point, was you need to slow down. You're always in such, and he always said, caught damn, like caught damn hurry.
Mm.
He wasn't swearing, right?
Yeah. Okay.
You're in a caught damn hurry. And I can hear he had this German accent, my father, and he was in construction, but he was also a carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't get in a hurry if you're a carpenter. I mean, that finish work it's detail oriented and it's slow going. And I could never be a detail carpenter because, man, I'm a hacker. I'm going to throw it together, because still to this day, I know that's one of my flaws. One of my weaknesses is I always want to go all out. And even now, going through this recovery period, it could be a huge setback to me if I did what I want to do. And thank goodness my wife knows my personality and keeps slowing me down a little bit. You know, take your time. You know, this isn't a race that you have to win today. This is just a race you have to finish. And it's a hard thing for some of us to learn that, but it's a necessary thing to be reminded of it. And as many times as we need reminded, we need to take it to heart, because I was reminded of it a lot as a kid growing up. And those lessons are still in my head today, because again, that's just part of my personality, the go, go, go. And it doesn't suit me well in the end to go all out all the time. I can go all in without going all out. And there's a difference.
There's a difference, and there's an opportunity to look around and enjoy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I think it's a good time to wrap it up with that. We've a couple good lessons. One, self-care, be healthy, be able to take on the world because you've taken care of yourself. And part two is delayed gratification, enjoying the ride to get there. And Rod, you said something over coffee today that I will not forget, and it goes along with what we're talking about today. And that was, you're just getting started. So I'm looking forward to enjoying this ride with you as partners and podcast hosts and all the cool stuff we're doing. So as Rod said, we're just getting started.
Amen, brother. I love it.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed the show, did I cut you off?
You did. I was just going to say, I am so excited for what's happening at Chapman University this Thursday. And I'm excited for you to take the stage with, you know, some big, heavy artillery out there, and you belong there. You and Rachel both belong there. And I'm excited for you, and the anticipation inside of me. I'm just giddy. I'm giddy for all of you. So I'm excited, and I hope everyone who can be there will be there and be watching for, you know, trailers and snippets from what happens at that event, because I do believe, honestly, sincerely, spiritually, this is the beginning of big, big things. So I'm excited.
Love that. You give me chills. Well, if I've done my job correctly, this show will publish and air Thursday of the event. So if you're listening to this, hopefully it's Thursday, and you're going to run out, grab a ticket, and head up or down or sideways, whatever it's going to take to get to Chapman University. If you're listening to this post show, if you are a member of the Young Entrepreneur Syndicate, we will have the event recorded and on our community blog. So you can check it out there. And by the way, we would love to have you as members and part of our community on the Young Entrepreneur Syndicate. It's $99 a month. You get access to us every Monday night. We do a Zoom call where we talk about compelling topics for 30 minutes, and it's open Q&A for all of our members. We get through all those questions before we call it a day. And you also have access to Rod, myself, and Rachel outside of those calls as needed. And we have a wonderful community with a number of assets available to you to help you become an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur. All the tools are there, and we'd love to have you. So thank you very much, Rod. Good to see you. Talk to you soon.
Always a pleasure.